everyone. This is Sunila Patil welcoming you to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. Today we're going to speak of the world's largest war memorial. And yes, you could actually stay here. It's 243 kilometers long and just breathtakingly beautiful. I mean, when I say beautiful, I mean drop dead gorgeous. You have the beautiful blue waters of the ocean by one side, and you have the mountains on the other. You have forests, and you have these really pretty fairy tale towns that are scattered along this way. We are talking of the Great Ocean Road in Victoria, in Australia, down under. Yes, we're doing another episode on Australia today. And I'm really excited because today, joining me on this episode for Australia, I mean, who better than someone who lives on the Great Ocean Road, right? Who not only lives there, he actually owns two resorts out there. One is the Great Ocean Road Resort and the Sunnymead Hotel. So let's welcome Damien. Damien, welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. And I'm so happy we're doing this together.
Likewise, thank you for having me, and excited for our chat today about the beautiful Great Ocean Road.
Yeah, Damien, like if you see most of the itineraries of tourists who are visiting Australia, Victoria is an important part. And of course, the Great Ocean Road is an important part. But I think not many people realize that this is actually indeed a war memorial. It was built by the soldiers who came back from World War One, and they built it in memory of those who gave their lives in the World War One. So I think it's just amazing that what a nice thing to build, right? Because usually you would build in the memorial, you just go look at it and you come back. But thanks to them, all of us are enjoying this road even today. I also got to know that apparently it's really interesting because there's so many attractions along the way, and we'll be talking of that. And of course, the biggest attraction probably is the 12 Apostles, the rock formations, the limestone rocks that you see. And I just heard that it was also called the Sow and Piglets, which is so funny. So I think Australia really knows how to name, their monuments, their memorials, and I'm so glad they changed it to the 12 Apostles. So that's fantastic. But Damien, let's start talking about you. If I'm not wrong, you do live at the Great Ocean Road. You're probably not born here, but that is home for you, correct?
Yes, I've been fortunate to live in Anglesea, which is just over 1.5 hours from Melbourne for the past 12 years. And, today it's a beautiful spring day. It's about 25 degrees. And yeah, just very fortunate when I'm not working, I get to go for a walk to the beach. If it's warm enough, I'll be brave enough, I'll go for a swim. I'm not a very good surfer, but I do like to take the surfboard out. Or if I want to go inland, as you mentioned, beautiful national parks. I'm at the back of Anglesea, and I do love my mountain bike riding. So yeah, very blessed to live in this part of the world.
Wow, that sounds so amazing. I mean, not all of us can really come and live there, but I was looking at the tour itineraries of visitors who come to Australia, and Great Ocean Road is a very, very, very important part of the itinerary. Most tours would at least visit it as a day trip from Melbourne, because you can do it as a day trip. But I think for those who have a longer time, and we have touched upon Great Ocean Road previously in Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life as well. But today I thought let's speak about the different towns. How different is it to live here on the Great Ocean Road? And if I'm doing a holiday, if I'm taking a part of a tour, can I actually come and stay here? So would you suggest staying back on the Great Ocean Road rather than being in Melbourne? Because like you mentioned, it's not too far. It's about 2 hours away, and you can actually start touring the Great Ocean Road. But what's the big deal of staying there? Like, what more can I do once I stay on the Great Ocean Road rather than just see it as a day trip?
Definitely. So the visitor experience for travellers who stay overnight is much better than the day trip, because the day trip can be 12 to 13 hours. So it's a very long day, whether you're self-driving or in a bus. And so although, it is a long stretch of road, the Great Ocean Road is iconic, but it is also very safe to drive. So for those people who are willing to self-drive, we would encourage people to self-drive as much as possible. But then also for the groups, it's obviously more than suitable for the shared tours or group bus tours as well. But one of the reasons why we encourage people to stay overnight, it just means that the day itinerary isn't as rushed, and it means they're able to explore more of the region and really get an understanding of, I guess, what regional Australia is like. The Great Ocean Road is such a big region. So, we've got beautiful nature, big nature, whether it's the 12 Apostles, where it's the beautiful ocean. But by staying overnight, it gives a little bit extra time to go into the Otway National Park and experience the waterfalls or beautiful wildlife. Now, seeing wildlife is best seen either early in the mornings or in the evenings. So by staying overnight, it gives you that extra time to see the wildlife. Nearby to me in Anglesea is the Anglesea Golf Course. And they have kangaroos in the wild on the golf course. So you're guaranteed to see them daily, and the best time to see them is either in the morning or at night. So when you stay overnight, it allows you to visit attractions like the Anglesea Golf Course to see the wildlife. And, something that the region is doing really well now is our food scene. And we understand the Indian traveller, some, really need their Indian food and some want to try that local cuisine as well. So there are a number of Indian restaurants or hotels like ours who cater for the Indian market. So for those Indian travellers who are looking for Indian food across our region, we can provide that, which is, we know it's an important factor for the Indian traveller.
I know. I was there at the Great Ocean Road Resort this May. It was this year, right? Yes, of course. It was in May or something. And we had the most amazing food. I think when it comes to food, Australia is as it is. It is way up there. I mean, most Indians know the following for MasterChef Australia was really high. And that is something we expect already when we come to Australia, that the food would be amazing. And I was so happy that it lived up to it. Like you mentioned, there are so many options and there is so much local food because the produce is so good. But Damien, at your resort, we also tasted some amazing Indian food. And when I walked in, even the name was Indian, Santra or something, right? It was something like that, if I'm not wrong. So can you tell us a little bit about what made you have a restaurant that serves Indian food? I know you love India, but what was it all about?
So Santara is my new restaurant at my new property, Sunnymead Hotel, which is located in Aireys Inlet. And so I took over the property in April 2022. And when we took over the property, it was quite old and dark and quite run down. So when we refurbished the property last year, we wanted to bring colour and fun to the property. And I've been fortunate to go to India probably 5 or 6 times now, and I absolutely love the country, the people, the colour, the spices. So I guess when we decided that we wanted the property to be quite colourful, and through my love of, the Indian culture, the people and food, when I decided to put a restaurant in at Sunnymead Hotel, it made sense for it to be Indian inspired.
Nice.
So Santara, as you know, means orange, which kind of goes with our colour palette of the property. And, the colours of, Indian spicy food was, I guess, why we wanted to bring that Indian-inspired menu. And as well as knowing that the popularity of the Indian traveller to our region, that we were able to provide Indian food to our guests when they came and stayed with us. And then also at Great Ocean Road Resort, the coast, although it's modern Australian, we can tailor our menus and customise our menus for the Indian market as well. So across both properties, we can provide Indian food, which is a real bonus for us. And another reason why, I guess, the Indian traveller, we're encouraging them to stay, at least one night, if not 2 nights in the region.
No, absolutely. I think it's more the, just knowing that it's available. When you go there, maybe you want to taste the local food, but having the confidence that if I'm traveling, I don't have to look for other things. These, Indian food will be available. I think it's mainly the vegetarian food that is more important. The option to have vegetarian wherever we go, and the spices. If you have these 2 combinations, any kind of food, I think, is really welcome for the Indian traveler. But Damien, we had an amazing stay at your property. And I think you're absolutely right, because we stayed there one night, but I remember driving down the next day and we were moving out towards Port Campbell. And in spite of staying there, we really didn't have the time to do everything. And I know there were waterfalls on the way, there was trekking on the way. So you're absolutely right when you mentioned that to do all of these things, these are best done either in the morning or like, in the evening or late afternoon. And the kangaroos. So absolutely, it makes sense to stay there. Could you tell us a little bit more, Damien, that if someone stays, say, in Anglesey, where your resort is, if they stay for a night, what can they do? And if they stay for 2 or 3 nights, what more things can they do? Can they do some day trips or excursions? What's the best way to really explore the whole region by staying on the Great Ocean Road?
So it really depends, I guess, who is traveling, whether it's families, whether it's
Yeah.
couples or honeymooners, but some activities, within, say, 25 minutes of my properties, for the adventure traveler or the family traveler, you've got beautiful Live Wire Park which is a treetop adventure just outside of London.
So that's
So
zip lining, right? You
zip
can go
line,
there
yes,
and get onto the ropes and fly over
exactly.
the trees. Yeah.
Yes, so that's a fantastic activity. But if you're just doing a day trip down the Great Ocean Road, you can't
No, there's no
detour
time.
itinerary to do that. There's also the Great Ocean Road Chocolatieri and Ice Creamery. They do amazing hot chocolates, and their packaging of their chocolate, which is all made on the property, is of all, I guess, the famous attractions in the area. So they're great souvenirs and gift presents for the Indian travellers to take home as well, which is really popular. For the younger travellers, there's surfing lessons if they're willing to try surfing lessons. I've mentioned waterfalls. There's also beautiful walking trails, not only through the Otway National Park, in Anglesey and surrounds, but you've got the well-known or the famous Great Ocean Road Walk, which is around the 12 Apostles region. It really starts kind of from Apollo Bay, it continues right through, but there's a beautiful section around the 12 Apostles. And although the 12 Apostles is the most famous stop around that visitor centre, but you really got to spend a couple of hours at least in that area where you can see Gibson Steps, which is probably
those were amazing. I remember going down and seeing them, and when you actually get so close to the ocean, the view is just fantastic. So I would definitely recommend doing the Gibson Steps for whoever can.
Yeah, and I think that's where you really feel the ruggedness and the wildness of the area. There's Lockhart Gorge as well, which you can easily spend a couple of hours there. But that's just the simple things, from my experience of hosting Indian travellers over the years, is at night after dinner, going for a beautiful walk along the beach, and seeing the beautiful stars at night, which we're really fortunate, in our region to have the beautiful fresh air. And again, it's the complete opposite to what many of your travellers are used to, whether they're from Mumbai, which is obviously a really busy city, lots of noise, coming to our region is a different experience. And I think that's part of coming to Australia, is giving them that different experience. Yes, they'll still have that city and that nightlife, but for 1 or 2 nights, it's really good to give them something different, whether it's, feeling the sand on their feet, or in the morning, seeing the sunrise over the Anglesey River. They're the small things that I guess until you actually feel and see that you don't know that experience. And it's always one of my favourite things when a traveller from India stays with us, is hearing those small touches that they really enjoy.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that's the whole point of a holiday, when you go to take in newer experiences, to take in different experiences. Melbourne's great, but it is a city, and it's really nice to get off from the city and be actually, like the last time I was there, I also stayed at the Grampians, and I absolutely loved it. It was a small, little chalet, and then in the morning when we woke up and I had a cup of coffee in my hand, and there were so many kangaroos, just wild kangaroos behind. It was just fantastic. So I think in a similar way, actually spending time on the Great Ocean Road gives you all these opportunities and all these experiences that you would otherwise miss if you do it as a day trip and go back for sure. You're right there. And Damien, when you say that, like, I know a lot of people who would love to take things slow and they would love to come in, and maybe they are touring all of Australia. Probably it's not just Melbourne and Great Ocean Road. They are doing Cairns and Queensland, and they are going to different places, Sydney, New South Wales, and then coming over here. So I think it's also nice to squeeze in some amount of totally relaxing time, half a day or so. Do you also have a spa nearby, or do you have a spa in the resort? So, because I think after like I feel the ideal holiday would be like you do 5 to 6 days of touring and then take a day off to just do nothing. Maybe go to the spa, have a massage, have relax, hot water, pool, enjoy the pool also, the swimming pool, for example, or the beach, and then start touring again. I think that would be my ideal holiday. So is that possible on the Great Ocean Road?
Yes, definitely. So at both our properties, the Great Ocean Road Resort and Sunnymead Hotel, both properties have got day spas. So at Great Ocean Road Resort, we've got Lux Spa and Wellness. And as you said, and that's what I like to do on holidays, like to be busy. But then you want to break up that, itinerary by having a bit of, I guess, relaxation. And so whether it's massage or facial or, going for a swim in our indoor heated pool. We've got those facilities at both properties. Again, the reason behind that when we created the properties was to make the properties a destination in their own right. So we don't just want people to come and stay and then rush off. We want them to enjoy the facilities. And quite often after dinner, with Indian travellers, we find them, enjoying our indoor heated pool and spa, and sitting around, and it's great to see their enjoyment. And so that's why sometimes, you hear, whether it's agents or travellers, that they get a bit worried about staying in the regions because they think they might be bored at night compared to the busy nightlife of the city. But it's just not the case because, that by the time they explore the region, it's still a long day, even when they are staying in the region. So by the time they arrive back at the property, have dinner, it gives them time to enjoy the facilities. There's plenty for them to do. So it is definitely the highlights of staying with us.
So, recently we've had a few viewers, right? And they wanted to have more ideas for celebrations, like whether it is a birthday or an anniversary or different celebrations. And very often people like to do it with their families. And we do travel with multi-generational families. So you would have maybe like a grandmother and grandparents traveling with the grandkids and the parents. So everyone's traveling together. And Damien, Indian families, when we say a family, can be anything from, we can be really large families. So it could be even 5 people, or it could be 50 people traveling together. So do you think there are any private experiences like that, or for celebrations that they can look for when they stay here? Because I remember I had a family who wanted to celebrate a New Year, but they wanted to do it very differently. They didn't want the noise, and they were a group of about 15 people, and they actually booked them like a safari to Tanzania because they wanted to be under the stars and be in the quiet and peace and enjoy a very different holiday. And I see the scope here for multi-generational families, or groups. There are a lot of friends groups who want to celebrate their 50s or their 60s or milestone birthdays and things like that. So do you think there would be, like, is there enough space for a small group to come in and do a private celebration here on the Great Ocean Road?
Yes, definitely. So, and one of the biggest highlights and very popular with Indian travellers is down the Apostles is a helicopter flight over the Apostles. So, what better way to celebrate a special occasion is with, potentially a helicopter flight. One of the good things with our property also, we have a private dining space. So if it was a family and it was 10, 20 people, we could do a special dinner in a private space where the family could celebrate that occasion. There's plenty of, a slightly different thing for a certain family. It could be even, a picnic, by
the beach or something.
Or for a honeymoon couple, that could be beautiful. You can just envision driving the Great Ocean Road, then stopping at a
Setting
nearby
up a picnic,
beach
yeah.
and setting up a picnic.
Wow.
And that's something that we can organise, for the traveller. Give our recommendations of, we can put the picnic together so they don't have to worry about getting it. They pack it, and then we can tell them where it's best suited for them to stop along their journey.
That's fabulous, like a beachside picnic, a private candlelit dinner, whether it's a honeymoon, whether it's a family or a bigger group. And yes, the helicopter rides, they are so popular. And, there are a lot of helicopter rides around the world, but I think I have done the Great Ocean Road one, maybe twice. And each time it was equally beautiful. It never fails to amaze me as to how beautiful the entire region looks once you get up in the air. And I really enjoyed that. And most of our travelers on Veena World, when they come on our tours as well, they enjoy the helicopter ride. And that is a memory that really stays with them. So I think it does make sense to explore Great Ocean Road in detail. I remember even the last time when we were driving, and for those who can drive, it's perfect because in Australia, it's the same side like India. You just have to watch the speed because we tend to drive faster when you see empty roads. But the Great Ocean Road is so stunning that you have to keep stopping for these lookout points because it's just too beautiful. You have to stop, look at, take it in, go slow, enjoy the scenery and drive. And then you see these little towns. So, Damien, you are at Anglesey, and some of the popular places to stay on the Great Ocean Road would be Torquay, Lorne, Anglesey, Apollo Bay, and Port Campbell, Warrnambool, for example. Would you say it's any different depending on where do you stay? Like, of course, it depends on each one's choice and, where they want to be. But would you suggest breaking up the state to two cities, or would you say that even if you stay in one city, you can still explore the region better?
I would recommend, if you're going to stay multiple nights, and it depends on the travel, but especially for that, I guess, multi-generation family or groups where you've got bigger numbers, I think it's always better to stay probably 2 nights in the one location rather than making the travel change hotels. But potentially for couples who, that younger traveller, self-drive, it could work really well for them to stay, one night at the beginning of the Great Ocean Road, potentially with that, where we are, Anglesey, Aries Inlet, Torquay, and then they might stay a second night further down the Great Ocean Road, whether it be, Warrnambool or Port Fairy. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier, that you loved your experience in the Grampians, and I think that's the other thing with the Great Ocean Road. Yes, the Great Ocean Road in itself is obviously my favourite place to be, but there's actually a loop called the Great Southern Touring Route, which includes the Geelong and Bellarine, the Great Ocean Road, and then up through to the Grampians, and then back down to Ballarat and Daylesford. So for those people who are looking to do a 4 or 5 night trip, and they really get to experience that southwestern part of Victoria.
Yeah, yes, of course, the Great Southern Ocean Touring Route is really nice. And I think 4-5 nights would be a good time. Or, of course, if there's longer, you can do it at 7 nights as well and really have a beautiful route. And I think the best part is there are different experiences everywhere you go. So with the Grampians, you have the mountains. With the Great Ocean Road, you're right by the beach. With the Geelong and Bellarine, you have some really interesting things to do and see. You're by the ocean, by the beach again, but the food and the cheese and the wineries. Australia is known for food and wine, and that's the best way to see it. And, now that most Indians are also getting 3-year visas, it's really a great idea to come back and discover a region a little bit more in detail and go ahead there. Damien, I think we've been covering a lot of the Great Ocean Road. We're coming almost to the close of episode. I have like one more question for you. And, you're by the beach. There are so many water activities that you can do there. You mentioned surfing, that you can learn to surf. I think this area is also home to the World Surf League, the World Championships, if I'm not wrong. And Bells Beach. That is the place to be there. Can you learn surfing in a day or two? Can you actually is that easy?
Yes, you can.
That's something I have never done before, but maybe for my next trip we can do it. So is that really easy?
It's It's not definitely not easy, but
Yeah.
it's safe and it's a fantastic
Ah.
experience. And we work closely with a company called Go Ride Away, who are based in Anglesea. They provide the wetsuits, they provide the boards. It's very safe, and they pretty much you at least stand up once while you're learning, and that's part of the experience. So.
Yeah.
Definitely it's very safe. It's an amazing experience, and we
It
would
sounds like so
kind
much
of coming
fun.
to
And
Australia.
would you say like 2-3 hours are enough to do
Yeah,
this? Like just to
plenty of
get
time.
the hang of it. I
Two,
know
two
you
hours.
can't learn surfing and can't start surfing
Yeah,
like what you see, like the champions, but even to just enjoy the water a bit and be able to stand up, 2-3 hours would be good, right?
exactly. And then there's also, in Anglesea, if it's a family and let's say the parents or the grandparents don't want to try surfing, but the kids do,
Mhm.
you've got
Mm.
beautiful canoeing along the Anglesea River.
Oh, nice.
You've got stand-up paddle boarding. So there's that softest adventure side
Mm, mm.
as well, which is available. So, and
Yeah,
especially, this time of year, that spring and summer,
yeah.
it's a perfect time to be out in the water.
I think it's a perfect time to start going out there and really spending longer days and enjoying a longer holiday out there. David, can you also do diving out there? Because there are more than some 600 shipwrecks in the area. So it would be really interesting to go down there. And I know that there are some shipwreck shows and you have the light and sound show. You can go back in time and see how all of it was made. But can you also dive along the Great Ocean Road? Would you suggest that? Or
I would suggest more snorkeling
okay.
around the rock pools, and you can see corals and fish life. Obviously, part of the beauty of the region is the wildness
Yes.
of the ocean. So especially for people who aren't used to diving,
Yeah. It can
I'd
be tough. Yeah.
I'd recommend maybe more snorkeling in the area.
Which is perfect because I think soft adventure fits in with most people, most honeymoon, most families, and you can have a taste of that. You have the golf course, you have surfing, you have learning to surf, let's say. Canoeing is something you mentioned, or even gentle walks and treks, and to go up, see the waterfalls, zip lining. That's something that has become so popular over the
Yes.
years. And even when I'm trying to fit all of this into an itinerary, we haven't even ticked off helicopter rides and even going to see the 12 Apostles or
Yeah.
the Gibson Step or the Lockhart Gorge. And to top it all, the small towns like Apollo Bay, I really enjoyed having an ice cream out there in the cold. So now with summer coming, it's going to be even more fun. And it's just so beautiful that I remember stopping at the lookout point and we said, okay, we'll probably take a 5-minute stop, but we just didn't want to move. It was so beautiful. We ended up being there for half an hour. So I'm just thinking if I had a picnic basket at that point, probably I'd spend like 2 hours there and not even go ahead in my itineraries. So it does make sense. I think you've convinced us enough that we need to come and stay on the Great Ocean Road as well. So yeah, Damien, it's been fantastic chatting with you about this. As we close the episode, is there something else you want to tell our viewers?
There's also, obviously, we understand that the Indian market loves their cricket,
Yes.
and part of Australia is, Australian society and culture is our love of beach cricket. So there's also the option of having a game of cricket on the beaches as well, which is always a highlight for the guests. But
That's
also,
great.
thank you for the opportunity. As I said at the outset, I'm really fortunate to live along the Great Ocean Road, and I guess one of the passions, the passion I have is to share that experience with people who are coming to the region, and especially Indian travellers. So come down, explore the Great Ocean Road, stay 1 or 2 nights because it will just make that experience that much better. And yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you, Damien. Yeah, so viewers, the Great Ocean Road is the perfect holiday destination. I mean, whether you're going on an escorted group tour, you're booking that for your family, your parents, whether you want a self-drive holiday, whether you're on your honeymoon or you're just going out with friends and you just want to enjoy driving, but not be too bothered because sometimes in the cities when you're driving, it may not be that pleasant, but on the Great Ocean Road, the road trip is simply fantastic. It's really amazing. And yeah, why rush it all? Let's take our time and soak in the beauty, soak in the sun out there. And now, starting now, it's going to be spring and summertime, and it's going to be the perfect time to be by the beach. So let's head out there. Let's go down under and enjoy the Great Ocean Road. Thank you for listening in, and keep listening to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. Damien, once again, thank you so much for coming on board and being here with me on this episode. Really enjoyed chatting with you. And viewers, see you next time. Neil will join me again on the next episode of Travel, Explore, Celebrate Live. Keep listening. My email is sunila@veenaword.com, sunila@veenaword.com, and Neil's is neil@veenaword.com. Do send in your requests and we will take up those episodes soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.